It's a beautiful day in the city, beautiful, everybody. How are we all doing? I figured today we were going to do just move right along, move on to day 3. We got day 2 done yesterday. And day 3 actually is kind of interesting. So let's take a look at it. There we go. Perfectly spherical houses in a vacuum. A reference to a well-known physics joke about spherical cows. Santa is delivering presents to an infinite two-dimensional grid of houses. He begins by delivering a present to the house at its starting location, and then an elf at the North Pole calls him via radio and tells him where to move next. Moves are always exactly one house to the north, south, east, or west. After each move, he delivers another present to the house at his new location. However, the elf back at the North Pole has had a little too much eggnog, and so his directions are a little off, and Santa ends up visiting some houses more than once. How many houses receive at least one present? For example, so greater than delivers presents to 2 houses, one at the starting location, one to the east. Caret greater than v less than delivers presents to 4 houses at a square, including twice to the house at his starting or ending location. And then caret v, caret v, caret v, caret v, caret v delivers a bunch of presents to some very lucky children at only 2 houses. Now, I had a good think about this one. And to be honest, I don't actually remember how I did this one originally. I remember I did this one, I think, I may have used JavaScript when I did this one the first time. I know I'm pretty sure I haven't done any of these 2015 puzzles on stream. I don't actually remember if I've done this day. It might have been a long time ago, like 2015 in JavaScript. So I don't actually remember what my approach was, but I'm excuse me. I'm very sure it did not involve what I'm about to try today. Now, the idea that I have, I'm not going to claim it's unorthodox because I'm quite sure someone else thought of a very similar solution. Let me just grab. I'm just going to copy all this. And I'm going to slap it in here. Put that in there, and that should be fine. And then I'll just, everything is set apart. This part, then the solution result. And then part 2, same thing. Alright. So I was thinking, we're going basically, we have to consider a 2-dimensional grid, right? So if I was to bring up a 2-dimensional grid in the style of, let's bring up Desmos, get in there, there we go. So we have a 2-dimensional grid, right? We go up, right, up, left, down, right, down, etc., right? Now, here's the thing. When I was thinking about the best way that we could optimize this idea, right, like this scenario, I was thinking about hash tables, right? Like, it is possible that we could simply create tuples of 2 values each, right? And we could do a linear lookup. So if we want to check and see if a house has already been visited, we could just do a linear lookup, and which is just like a for loop, right? You run through it, you check each one, and if that tuple matches the tuple that's already in the array, then it's already been accounted for. You can just move on from it, or if it isn't in there, you can just put it in. And that works, but that's slow. Imagine this gets very large, which I think in this input it does. It may not be large enough that, actually I can check that. Yeah, I guess it's decently large, but it's not. It wouldn't kill the runtime necessarily of a linear lookup. It still takes too long, right? But it doesn't feel like it would bog things down considerably over the span of time needed for this. We would get. I have to check how many characters that is. I think it looks like it's around 1,000, maybe in thousands. Let's find out. I'm curious. So let's do character count. Actually, my personal website has a character count. I could just use that if it was still up. Okay, 8,000. Yeah, so it's in the thousands. 8,192, which is a suspicious power of 2. I just noticed. I'm pretty sure. So. I was thinking, wouldn't it be much nicer if we could do this by way of hash table lookup? You have a key value pair inside, just want to bring this up. JavaScript objects are, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're hash tables, right? Under the hood, they work a lot like the way that a C, like if you were to build up a hash table in C, like how that would work. And hash table lookups are considerably faster than linear lookups, right? So it is, I think, something like a login complexity. I have to look up again. I don't really remember. But I'm pretty sure that it is at least considerably shorter than it would be if it was a linear lookup. So how might we do that? Lots of different ways we could do that. And one possibility is when you go up and you go right, you are at 1, 1. And you can, in JavaScript, create, what you could do really is you could create an object that you run through this loop, and the object has 2 properties in it. Just a couple properties, like a 1 and a 1, right? Like an X and a Y property, for instance. And you set each one, and then you just combine those together into a single string. And it should be the case that you would have a unique string for each of those values, right? So like at 1, 1, you would have a string that is a 1 and a 1, but 1, -1, it'll be 1 - 1. And a string, like in JavaScript, you can do that. You can make a string, simply make your string your key and make the value whatever associates with that key. Nice and easy. So I realized it would be awfully annoying to have to roll my own as far as that kind of stuff goes. It wouldn't be necessarily that difficult. But it occurred to me that JavaScript already has that functionality built in the form of imaginary numbers. If you think of this as the real line, right, and that's the complex line right there, the imaginary line, then you have yourself a complex plane, right? JavaScript already has the ability for you to have your real part and your imaginary part separate, and they have a .conj for conjugate. You can .conjugate your imaginary numbers, your complex values, and it will return it as a string, and I can just use that as my unique identifier for each of these points. So that's like, it's the probably, I don't know if, like, again, like, I'm not an expert, right? I feel like it's a decently clever enough solution that I feel mostly proud of it for having thought of it. I'm almost positive I did something like a linear lookup when I did this in JavaScript years back. I definitely don't remember thinking of anything as clever as relatively clever as using imaginary numbers. And of course, whether or not that's actually clever is a matter of much opinion. But I'm going to be gracious with myself and say, good job, Jerry. You thought of something kind of cool. All right, so we're going to make the tests. I'm just going to do a little copy paste again. Beep. We're going to cut the guts out of that guy. Cut the guts out of that guy. So it'll be day 3, part 1 and part 2. And this would be day 3 and day 3 and day 3 tests. And that I hope should be good. Can just clear that out. Okay. So we all like gave us some over here. Give some examples here. So the greater than sign is going to deliver presents to 2 houses, one at the starting location and one to the east. That is one to the east. So we have to initialize at 1 and then add on if it doesn't find a match, and not add on if it does find a match. So I'm going to create that first test. If the input is greater than. Right. Let me just, give it the old async. And do this, make sure that do a query solution input is equal to should have had the backticks in there. Oop. And just assert that body.solution result is going to be equal to 2. And this we just solution result's going to be, undefined in this case, right? Like, rather obviously kill the server so we can run the tests. And this better fail, sure does. Oh, those day 2 middleware things are going to be annoying, so let's actually run back in there and remove any instances of that. Any other console logs I have in here? I don't think so. I think that's it. You can go back in here. Are we running day 3? Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's certain the ones that pass, but then the ones that fail are on top. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's think about how we want to handle doing the what do I want to do? So I don't think that native JavaScript, like regular JavaScript, has enums. I'm pretty sure that's just a TypeScript exclusive kind of deal. I think in our case here, unless they do. Not the same way that TypeScript does. You just kind of have to do this kind of business. I don't want to do that. Do I want to do something like... something like that, maybe. And then the thing is, like, I want it to be decently legible. I could just use those, but like use the actual symbols inside like a switch statement or something of that nature, but it's less descriptive than it would be if I was using an enum. It's a readability thing. Okay. So let's do const directions array equals solution input dot split, and we'll just split each individual one, and then for each of these we are going to actually have we have to keep track of like where we are. So we're gonna have maybe let the position be, is it math.complex? Let me look up let's get A plus BI, right? That's what we want. Let's look for, it should just be in the specs. Oh, it's built in already. We don't need to be doing all that. Yeah, it's right here. Math.complex should give us a real part and imaginary part. And we're setting it outside because on the inside, it's we should be able to do something like if directions array I is equal to directions dot east, or this would be probably better. We would be better served with a switch statement, I think. Switch directions array I case directions dot east break case north case west and case cool. Good. So easterly direction, we're going to, that's the real part that's going to be increased. Yeah, that should, I think, be fine. And then in the case of north, there's the imaginary part. In the case of west, it is the, yeah, it's the real part going down, and in the case of south, it is the imaginary part going down. Now, we can do some, let's see. We also want to keep an object. So the visited houses object, and we're going to basically insert key value pairs based on the conjugated version of these complex values. So for each of these, right, like after each one of these, if let me do a sanity check thing real quick. So I'm going to do a console log of the position dot or math dot conjugate of the position, and we'll see how that treats us. Ooh. Oh, this is fine. However, so let me double check something. Just get rid of that. Yeah. So let's set that real quick and see. So it's doing this and this are the undefined, undefined. It's taking in the proper request. Inside of each of these, it would be responsible of me to do an error check for the part. Like if it doesn't find a part, it should really just default to being day one. That would be smart. I'll retrofit that later. So in here, I guess if there's only one in the direction array, then, but it should at least hit it once, I'd imagine. So this might be a case of this not being what I think it is. Except it totally is what I think it is. Is in fact precisely what I think it is. Let's just do a little, let's have a little fun here. Let's do that. Okay, so that's those four. I'm not, as far as I can tell, I'm not getting the log from here. After the switch, it's not showing me like it should really just show me a 0, 0 sort of thing, or at the very, I mean, it should totally work. It should show me something. It's showing me the array. Oh, I'm doing it again. Jared, my dude, stop doing that. Oh, I'm still not getting anything. Is directions array.length not 4? What does it think it is? It's 4. Let's take this and move it before the switch statement. Is there some I'm wondering if there's some kind of, maybe it's barking at something it's trying to do with the switch statement. It's not. It's just not getting there. Does the word test come up anywhere? And if not, why not? We're not getting the word test anywhere. It's totally skipping that for loop. 0. Am I doing, what am I doing wrong? Do we, okay, so do we get anything if we take the switch statement out? Is it just not liking that for some reason? Yo, weird. It's cool with everything until we get up. Okay, do we... Does it like everything just put for a loop? Okay, we're going to remove that for the moment. Can try this. You know, it seems to be ignoring where it says POS room. So maybe there's a problem with the math.complex thing. I wonder if it just isn't... Did I do something catastrophically stupid? I mean, I must have. Why you do this? Oh. That's why. It is actually airing out. It's not. It's hitting here. That's why I was confused. What did I do? Did I do anything much different over here? I'm sure I did. I did something much stupider than that. Shouldn't matter, although this really should be called query input more so than solution input, because it is the query I'm trying to put in there, but that shouldn't matter. Am I not awaiting it? I am. It's the body. What is the... Oh. Wait, no. Stay 3. Stay 3. Solution input. Part is 1 like it's supposed to be. There, over there. But a solution result is 2. Go yours. Is it not able... Does it not like this? What if this was an O? What if it was the letter O? Continues to error out. It doesn't seem to be an aspect of this. Okay. It's acting like it's not receiving. Is this a 1? It is a 1. Like, it should definitely error out for these ones. That's totally fine. It's supposed to do that. We get a number 1 here. Airing out, undefined, airing out 1. But so here. Are we actually fine? Can I put this down into here? How annoying. Okay. At what point does it decide to crap and stop showing me stuff? Because it doesn't go down here. Okay. I hate to do this, but like, I mean, I could use the debugger, but I'm actually not super great with the JavaScript debugger. I think we've isolated it. I think it's math.complex. And if that's the case, why is it throwing an error for it? Yeah, it just completely stops after trying to do that. Let's look at this again. Do we need... I thought... Hold on. I mean, it works right in here. It works in the browser. I didn't think it was any kind of is this an error of some kind? No, I don't think so. Well, it returns a conjugate. Actually, I don't want the conjugate. I wanted the string version, but so I misspoke earlier. But I think I really just wanted toString is what I meant. Oh, I meant complex. Yeah, that should be fine. And then if complex num was I know. It's fine. Complex num2. I did complex num2 toString. Yeah, which is what I want to be doing. That's the whole idea. I am much befuddled. Oh. Ha. Whoops. We were not doing day 2, we're doing day 3. Why are we not getting anything after that tells me that it's trying to do that? It fails, but it's failing silently, and it's not indicating what the problem is. If it never gets, so yeah, if it doesn't get past it, it's a straight up crash. So let's do this. Throw it in a try catch and see if it can catch it. Okay, so we did get the error. Math is not defined. Okay, so that means that. So today we learn again. We learn something new. The math module is apparently not defined. That means it's not defined for no JavaScript, apparently. Which I think is super interesting because it is defined for. I guess it's not a standard. It depends on what compiler or what interpreter you're using. Or it's part of JavaScript for most client side. Like most browsers will have it, but apparently Node doesn't. So do I have, whoops. Inside of server, I think, yeah, I've already done some node module installs, so just do that real quick. So math.js. Math.js. Okay. And then we just have to do a require and that's sort of what I'm assuming that you would have to do if you wanted to use this. To run the test. See if it still doesn't like it trying to use we're so slow. Now we're good. Okay, so the error there was just me blithely assuming that Math.js was part of core, but actually is apparently a browser-specific inclusion to certain interpreters depending on which browser we're using, which is a good thing to know. That was an annoying, however long that was, 10 minutes or so. Okay, so we've got that working. We can reintroduce the switch statements. Oops, other way. There we go. And then we can say I don't want the conjugate, I just want the toString. That was, I don't know why I had the word conjugate in my brain like that. It was just lodged in there. The conjugate is not what I wanted at all. The conjugate is the thing you multiply an irrational number by to get the real value, right? It's like, I don't know if anybody watching this remembers doing, I teach algebra, so I teach this quite often. It's, you want to rationalize the denominator of your fraction because you're not supposed to have irrational values in your denominator, so as a matter of convention, right, we're being polite. So your conjugate is going to be the real part, and then a plus or minus, and then your imaginary part, or not imaginary, your irrational part. Imaginary numbers are nothing more than irrational values with a negative under the radicand. So when you multiply the real and the imaginary part by something that is exactly the same but has the opposite sign on the in the middle, you will get back to just the real part. That's what a conjugate is. I don't need that. I don't need to have the conjugate. I just need the string version of my complex value, which is what this is going to do. With any luck, with any hope, right? And now that we have that, we can dispense the try catch. I would prefer to use that in instances where you're anticipating an error. Like, there really never should have been an error. Like, it wasn't barking, it wasn't giving me the error message, so I had to sort of force using a try catch. I don't want to keep the try catch because this there should be no reason that it should ever fail, right? So let's see. I've got but we are having a little bit of okay, that's interesting. I wanted to get the town center out of there. So are we now? Are we still? It might still be the same problem, or it might be a similar problem. So I'm gonna do a try catch around this console log. A dot error will supply the stack trace along with your error message. Oh, because I forgot to change these to current. I was originally thinking, by the way, the reason I changed that was a couple reasons. Currently visited house actually is just, it's more descriptive as a variable name, and it's really what we're doing, but also I was kind of wondering if for some weird reason POS was, I was thinking maybe that was like a reserved variable name for something. Maybe I was accidentally overwriting something, or there was some kind of conflict. Obviously there wasn't. I've used that variable name in the past, but who knows, you know? I should really get in the habit, if I'm going to change a variable name, to just do a control H on it and just change it everywhere. So again, object, object, which is good-ish. We want the, and we can dismiss the try catch now. Actually, this is interesting. Why? Oh, I wonder if it's because I don't actually want that. I want crew visited house dot toString. We get a 1, and that's exactly right, because there should not be an imaginary part, right? If we were to briefly throw this in, yep, 1 plus I. That's great. So we can use that now, and we can use those as keys for, so I could say if visited houses, in fact, let's just go ahead and let current visited house str I call it key. So like basically if it isn't there, then we are going to simply set it equal, I think, to true. Right? Like we just basically want to check whether or not Like it's like a 0-1 kind of deal. Like just did you visit it? Like at this point anyway. Or there wouldn't be any harm in just, because all we have to do is make sure that it exists, right? So like the number of times it visits might just be interesting. So let's just do that plus equals 1. And I think the idea was we should have another variable that is let unique houses visited equal, remember we start at 1 because Santa always starts at 0, 0. And or go up. I did not copy and paste the text of this. So what happens if we do this? It should fail because I remember I didn't put in the right let's try this. Okay. And then if we were to do this string, what do we get? Yeah, including twice this and start. Oops. No, 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 no. This, and we should be getting a 4 out of that. See if we do. We don't. Okay. So it works for one, but it does not work for doing multiple, which is interesting. So let's explore why it's not working the way we want. Let's just go ahead and see what it. Let's do, and we will do. We'll look at visited houses, see what kind of object it's kind of spitting back out at us. NaN, NaN, NaN. Not a number. I wonder why it's showing up as not a number. Oh, because it doesn't have a value, so it's adding nothing. Is trying. I think it's just conflicting. I goofed. I was really hoping, actually, that. Actually, that's a really good question. What would happen if you took, so NaN, what is that? NaN is NaN? Yeah, okay, NaN plus 1 is still not a number. That means that it does not coerce type. Can we do... That's super interesting. Not a number really messes with stuff. So what happens when you multiply not a number? Still not a number. Still not a number. That actually runs a little bit contrary to what I was expecting, and that's why I was a little confused. I was kind of thinking if something's not a number and you try to do arithmetic with it. Well, I guess it makes sense. If it's trying to say that not a number implies you've messed up and they don't want you to move forward with it anymore. But you see what I'm saying when I say that JavaScript is inconsistent, right? Like, I wouldn't have known that unless I logged that. If I get NaN at all, I feel like it should tell me that, right? Like, and I wonder if there's like, does JavaScript have some setting that kind of make it more verbose? I have to look that up later. I don't know that. That would be an excellent thing to try to figure out if there is some verbose mode. But let's just make it so that we have to do that as an if-else thing. So if it hasn't visited the house at the current key, it gets set to 1 and the unique houses goes up. Otherwise, you just add a 1 to it, to the value that's already there. No, it still doesn't like it. Oh yeah, no, that makes sense because that's the one where if okay. This one it goes up, right, down, left. This is up, right. Oh, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1. Up, right, down, left. Up, right. Oh, yeah. This is still coming back. This at 80. So let me just. It's not showing me the solution result is. Actually, just unique houses. It's probably showing me. I wonder if it's a 5. It is. Yeah, it totally is. For the unique houses. Because I'm starting at 1. This doubles back onto itself. Which it technically wouldn't know about. Let's actually initialize this as 0, 1. And now we're good. Cool. That is very neat. So now we can do the other tests as a sanity check to make sure that it is working indeed as it should. Oh, there's only one more check. Okay. This one should be 2 houses. Oop, 2 houses. Wait, there we go. So I can get rid of that one. 2. Forgot. Okay. So if we were to put in the proper input, the for realsies input, all this nonsense here, and we slap it in here, part 1. Oops, gross. We could try running this. Let's actually run. I'll open that when I need it. We have to run the server. Keep forgetting that. One day I'll remember. Request origin. Request header field's too large. Ooh. That's not the problem. You know, it is a pretty big. So what is the limit? Just copy the message then. What is the limit, dear audience? I mean, I can easily believe that that's just too big of a message. It's too many things. It's over 8,000 characters long. It was like 8,192 characters long. I don't actually know what the exact limit actually is going to be, but I'm assuming... Okay. Can I fix this by... Let me, my head keeps dipping like in the halfway, which is kind of awkward. Oh. You get to really see how messy my room is. Like, I'm an adult, I swear. This is an interesting and perilous new problem that's arisen. And I kind of anticipated it. I figured there's no way that it would just allow headers of any given size to get in there. A bit too much to hope for. I mean, I'm sure we've all definitely seen URLs with queries that are like Amazon ones, for instance. Like, they look so long. They're probably not all that long. So here's my first thought. Besides encoding it for URI, maybe encode it for base 64. I think it just has that, like it's part of JavaScript to be able to do that. B to A and A to B. So I think B is base to, what was the A? A is like the ASCII, I think, and then ASCII to, yeah. Reference old Unix commands for converting binary to ASCII, and ASCII to binary, but we're doing Unicode strings, it's whatever. So if I were to take that absolute behemoth of an input, I don't think that helps. That looks worse. Boy. I knew this would happen. So now the question is, how do we either we find a way to truncate this, you know, get this into less information, or we figure out another way to get this through to the server. Now, my knowledge on the subject is not super extensive, but I am thinking that maybe if we formatted the input as a blob, a binary large object. Then maybe we could post it as make it the body of the post. If it's the body of the post, there may not be the same restriction, because that's a header restriction. The query is part of the header, as far as I can tell. I don't think that same restriction necessarily applies if we're sending data over as like a post message, as is part of the request in the body. Well, you know what? That may be a testable assumption. So go into Postman, and what I'm going to do is here's just any one of these endpoints. I'm just going to use this one. It doesn't actually matter which one. Oh, I think we found out that this isn't going to, we don't see console logs through Postman, but we can just quickly do a 200 send and then echo body of it, just have an object with just, I don't know why I originally named it solution. I do know why I named it solution input, actually, it's a lie. I was thinking that, because really you can imagine like it should really say something like puzzle input, but I was thinking like as a naming convention for all things relating to the solution, including what you put into it to get out of it, should have a consistent name. That's why I chose solution input. I guess that makes, that makes a decent consistent amount of sense, so I guess I'll keep it. Also be annoying to have to change all the names around. So if we do like, let's just test and see if it works first. I think it doesn't like them because this is JSON, so I don't think JSON accepts the single quotes. Let's see what this does. We can echo back of the body, super useful. Now the bigger question is, if that body was significantly bigger, does it choke? It doesn't choke. It gets to the server just fine. It's kind of what I figured. Okay. Dang. Okay, so that does mean that what time is it? 9:56. This is a bit annoying. It's kind of cool, right? Like, I'm learning quite a few things I didn't know about JavaScript or about the way that even servers necessarily work, right? Like I didn't know. I suspected a limitation on header length, but I wasn't totally sure. And of course, here it is. But there's other things like the way that not a number doesn't get coerced and other sort of interesting little problem-solving tidbits that I ran into that I'm hoping that if like you're watching this and it's a while from now, you know, maybe you get something out of that. I sure did. Even if it's just, wow, JavaScript sure is frustrating, and yep, there's that. So besides part 1 and part 2, what I may also do is have 2 extra buttons. I hate to do it, but maybe another 2 buttons that will let me select between sending by query and sending by post body, right? So query and body. Not every puzzle, I know this from experience, not every puzzle has solution or has inputs that are that long. They usually aren't. They're not usually such a meaty length. So doing it by query or doing it by post feels I don't know. We could either do that or we could just send by post body from here on out. Yeah, I think that's better. We can just do it by, but we'd have to change, we will have to change, it's annoying, because I was doing everything by way of query as part of the URL, like everything was. I shouldn't have to fix too much, but I will have to fix, I'll just have to send whatever the input is. I have to change it. Basically this line right here, line 120, is probably the biggest change. Because otherwise I don't think it's that big of a deal. So let's look at, I don't really want to do this for too much longer, but let's look at how to do Axios send or post.json with Axios. I just want to see what how it's formatted. Post, and then there are the headers, and I wonder if it's just the body. Like there's, yeah, I think the second argument, if you don't have a third argument or parameter in your list, it's just whatever you're sending along. So let's try to confirm that. We'll have to send along the solution input also the part. So man, I was really getting accustomed to how slick the query stuff was. Oh, but wait. No. No, this is fine. I think this is fine. I think the way I ended up doing it here did end up sort of nixing the original way that I was handling, like doing this kind of stuff. Because this is originally why I chose to do stuff by query, but once I set up everything in here, this is no longer even useful. I don't even use those routes with like the parameter. That's just not even a thing I do anymore. So I think it's just a total non-issue now. Now I'm trying to remember why I handle it like that. I think that's just, you would chalk that up as a capital B bad idea that didn't pan out, and I didn't end up even using it because it was annoying. So, yeah, whatever. We'll just, we'll just post directly to here. We're going to remove this part. I'm actually going to cut it, paste it below so I remember what it is we want to be doing here, and then it's going to be some JSON that is, I think it's how they do it, yeah. So it's just solution input is encoded solution input. It's actually and the part is the part selection number. If I do this, I am going to do this, I'm going to have to retrofit the way that the endpoints at the other, like AOC 1, days 1 and 2, like how they take it in, since I'm not using queries anymore. Let's just see how it works for day 3. Or I guess let's look at day 1 real quick and see. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. Because once I come in here, I can just switch that out, I'm pretty sure, and then I could just do that for each of these. Just change it from query to body. I'm really hoping that's the only change I have to make. I will have to change the way that I did the tests in the other tests. That's annoying. Yeah, because these are all by doing post. Or by using, sorry, by using queries, I mean. Let's see if let me look something up real quick first. So it looks like you can just, I have been doing npm run test, but it looks like you can probably do like, is it just jest? No, it's npm jest. How does it do that? Oh, npx, obviously. And I think this will run everything. And it's going to completely barf. Yeah. Although we got some passing, which is good news. So we do jest of okay, those ones all fail. But that's because we're still using gray stuff. So, yeah. It's interesting that all of them fail. So it says, yeah, even the basic ones fail. Oh, because I'm really not sending along. Oh, wait. Yeah, because my solution input is probably not literally the string undefined. That's actually using this method. I can come up with a different word for that if I'm just testing for whether or not the server exists as a, you know, as a sanity check sort of thing. And then part can just be, it doesn't actually matter what the part is. I forgot I put that in there. Okay. Yeah, those are fine now. And then let's do the same thing for these guys. Just switch this out to being post. So these down here instead of this. Just do as query input, which is no longer the query input, it is the solution input. Dang it all anyway. And then the part is the just one. Then we can actually take this, copy it to here, and copy it to here. And do that. Three failed. Because I assume this is solution. I mean, I could just whatever. It's fine. It's not fine. Ooh, no. These are that's an actual number now. Okay, still erroring out. So it's telling me it's erroring out for those ones, but it's erroring out for all of them. They're coming in as undefined. It's like appropriately undefined. I like how it coerced it into a string. So it's probably something to do with like this is not actually how you're supposed to do it, right? That's just there's all that. Let's look again at using Axios. It's supposed to be URL and the data and the config. So there's the data we're sending along. Okay. Just the JSON.stringify. So it looks like they stringify it first, and then they send it along. Let's try serializing it. That's probably the problem. It's taking in it. I guess it's not really raw JSON. Let's do something like stringify just like exactly what we have here. Doesn't like that either. Just Axios automatically serializes the data you send it. So it doesn't seem like it should matter. Whenever we're sending it the data in any of the config. I need to see how this breaks down on the actual. Here's the thing, like when I echoed it back, it worked from here, right? When I had it respond, but this is saying it's undefined. So which part of this is let's do response dot. We'll do a 200 status and let's just do the echo again. shouldn't have been doing this on the terminal where I run the server. Let me just, it's just npx just then so we're assuming that it's up. What's this? Part is undefined. Cannot say or something. I mean, that's fine, right? Because it's trying to send something from over here, but it obviously can't. It's going to try to. Go. So persnickety. How strange. Yeah, this is kind of where the stream gets boring when I don't have viewers. Because it's really just me sitting here trying to figure out something that is really confusing to me. There's most likely a future viewer who is watching this and is screaming at their screen, wondering how I could be so stupid. Although I am wondering why the part that is supposed to be the part isn't showing up here. What's showing me echo is, I feel like that's oh, because in here I'm not sending it, right? Goofing. Oops. Actually, I want to see that. Whoa. About everything else, all the stuff surrounding it, right? The whole weird server thing. It works on the server, works through Postman, doesn't work when I'm doing it through Axios. A note, of course, that it worked with the queries and it's not working with the body. Okay, let's try doing something of this nature, right? Instead of what we're trying to do here. So let's reform this into something like, let's do that. We're just gonna send one object through the post. I believe it's so we're gonna say the method is just Axios, boom, right, send a post request. Thought post should just be the version of this where it's, yeah, it's just this. The thing is, like, the way that I've written it here, it's not any different. Oh wait, I'm not using Axios. Right, that's why. I'm using Supertest. That would be why. So this is a thing that probably could have brought up earlier. Is that I've been using assert, and every time I see Supertest stuff, I see like it does a dot post, a dot expect, right, and through the response. It does it assert though, right there. I wonder if I can reform to make one of the tests look more like that. I'm going to take one of these things, and I'm just going to just add it onto here. I can take these dot onlys off once I'm ready to run the whole thing, but instead of should I handle insert error, this should return, yeah, an error message if, well, this should return, should do what the first test, no, yeah, what the first test does. I don't plan on keeping it. So they're doing, obviously we're going to see no query received. Let's go ahead, double quote that. Feel better doing that. We're going to post it to AOC day 3. We're going to expect it to 100, and we're going to expect the response dot, I think it's just, is it error or message or something? Error includes that. So I'm going to kill this. So we'll see if this actually does anything, or does anything close to what it's supposed to. It doesn't. Oh, because server's not defined. We're not doing server, we're doing, I think I call it app. Yeah, that's better. Just undenying it. Expected okay, got a 500 enter. Oh, it should, yeah, of course. Oops, that is working. I'm giving it a 500. I shouldn't go to 500, I don't think. Okay, is there anything else? Or is it just not? Response.error.includes is not a function. Instead of dot includes, can I do dot is? So like a dot should be, or like that doesn't work either. It's really just, I'm checking to see if this is the same as that. And it worked. Yep. So what's the business with doing this? I wonder if it's because the original was just dot includes But that is, it shouldn't have that as a, so I don't actually know what they're doing. I guess maybe the dot text is a thing. Let's try that actually. As a property of the response. Yeah. Because I think I was misunderstanding. Yeah, okay. I think I get it. Yeah, the response, grabbing the dot text out of the response, and it's doing a check. It's a, I didn't know that I had that. I think that's actually unique to Supertest when it does the request, and that's really cool. Like that's pretty boss. This whole time, you know, I was using a search because it's just, it's an easier thing to do, but because it's only one line. And now that feels a bit like a mistake on my part. But here's the learning process in action. So we can actually yes, if I post with just this and I don't set anything else, I should expect a 500 and everything. And in fact, I could probably, this goes to here, should be here. I actually want to cut this, put this up here, and actually just make this that, because it does exactly what I want it to do. It just feels a lot better, feels more like what I'm supposed to do. What are the other ones supposed to do? I think I always have two of them. Error message. Oh, I just doubled up on those for some reason. The other ones. I never even paid attention to it. I just had it doubled. I don't remember why. That's classic Jared for you. I'm glad most of my mistakes so far have been they're harmless mistakes. They're just dumb, like I'm not paying attention. This will be day 2. And I can even go in here and do the same thing. And I probably am going to go back and redo these so that they look more, what's the word? Idiomatic, like idiomatically proper for using Supertest, because even though I'm using it, this doesn't feel like Supertest at all. I mean, it works for this, but that only really worked when it was a query, which is not going to be anymore. So I have to revamp it anyway. So whatever. Okay. So that's kind of exciting. Get rid of that. So instead of doing all this dumb nonsense, what we really want to be doing instead of having it do that, let's see if we can do this. We'll post it here, and then I think there's like a dot set, and that's where we set things like the headers. So we set everything we want. Is there like a setting the body or something? Set authorization. There's a .send. Send like a payload. So we can set stuff like the content type, which it should already know. I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's do .set. Not like that. Well, I think it's case insensitive anyway. And then do I think there's like a before each for this. I want to say it's not coming up. What was it in Supertest? Oh, it's called setup and tear down, I think. No, it's before each and after each. How do we use those? Will the Supertest have its own version of that? Or is it just using jest? It's probably just using jest. I'm not seeing it pop up in IntelliSense, which is making me nervous. It's probably not that big of a deal anyway. I can just do, because it's not gonna, I mean, it's not really gonna be for each anyway. Const. Let's do this one. Actually, no. We want it to be I should make that a different name. We're expecting a status of 200, and we're expecting the should be able to do something like this. Response.text includes, and the expected result should probably be up here as well. Includes. Just do this again. Too fast. It did get back a 2. Feels pretty good. So we're going to do that again. This time we're going to do felt. Expect result is 4. And then we'll see if that one passes. Total, something happened. That happened. Wait. Good, and we're getting close to all of them, so we'll just do. And we've got, oops. Let's go back up. Oh, no. Go back down. No. Oops. Not that either. Not that either. Go back here. Okay. And then actually the imp should get 2. Should be 2 for this. 2. It totally did. Okay. All right. There's that mystery solved. I am way past time on what I was planning on doing today. I was really only planning on doing. I was planning on spending less than half this time on this stuff, but I really got into the trying to fix the server thing, the server testing. The server worked fine. It would have helped if I remembered that I wasn't using Axios to do my testing. I'm using an actual testing suite. And that's why nothing was ever working. I don't want to review how much time I spent. It was probably like a half hour trying to remember that I wasn't using Axios. Such is the way of things. But this looks pretty promising. And I am pretty tired. So I'm going to cut it. Let me look real quick at the second part of this. This is the one right where it skips every other. I think given my implementation, this really shouldn't be very hard. we go up, down. Counts. Yeah, this really shouldn't be very difficult, I don't think, given what I've done. But I'm also a little tired right now, and I might be overestimating my own abilities. That also happens. But man, we got something really good figured out as far as testing goes. That's really, really handy. Okay, so let me just clean that up. Alright, so I'm done, and I will see y'all on the server side.